Good evening, Eagle Eye. This is Hell's Unicorn here, and I know I'm a little late to the game here, but I'm actually going to participate in this little tag activity you've got going on here with other users, trying to get a little bit of a conversation going here. I watched pretty much all of the videos that were related to this particular tag event, and I haven't posted comments on all of them because I have been kind of split a bit on my in terms of my time availability. I was able to watch them and I was able to rate them, but I didn't have time to devote to any comments. Usually I like to think out my comments and try to add something to the conversation, and I was kind of split between watching videos and doing some of my day job work. But anyway, I'm going to start this off by throwing a couple questions at you, and they're just going to be basic general questions, and then after that I'm going to just respond to the latest video that you put up with regards to your frustrations with the way things have been going on YouTube and generally with the activity level on your channel. And all three of the questions that I am going to ask you about, they are somewhat loosely connected to economics. They're more on a moral and ethical field, and they do pertain a little bit to constitutional law as well, but they're going to get into some topics that it's a pretty sensitive area. I think you and I have actually discussed this a little bit previously. First question, and I think you've already answered this, but I'd just like to preface these questions by getting this first one out of the way. Your general viewpoints with regards to abortion. When do you think the cutoff point is for when it's considered not okay versus okay, ethical versus unethical? Number two, have you ever encountered any non-theologically based arguments for the viewpoint that life begins at the point of conception, particularly pertaining to the argument that a unique strand of DNA contained within the beginnings of the zygote is thus a human life, albeit in its most basic state? And the third question is, what is the general guiding standard for what you would consider the point where potential life cuts off and actual life kicks in? Those are the three general questions that I wanted to ask with regards to just the basic topic of abortion. And then in contingency with that, I wanted to also throw in, what are your views regarding the population demographics of America and Western Europe with regards to the abortion issue, and how do you think it's impacted the viability of Western civilization? Because I've made a couple videos on this topic, and I am of the opinion that birth control, the sexual revolution, and all this other stuff has greatly weakened the vitality of Western civilization and has made us susceptible to encroachment and potentially a partial takeover by more unsavory Eastern influences, particularly primitive Islamic influences. Those are my questions with regards to this. I know the abortion one is something we've kind of touched on before, but I am really particularly interested in your view with regards to population demographics, replacement fertility, and all of that, and how you think that plays into the economic health and vitality of Western civilization, and particularly the United States. Now, on to the issue of your channel and I'm assuming is your frustration with the lack of activity going on. The fact that you're dealing primarily with intellectual content, it mostly deals with the educational field, and in a sense a lot of it deals with higher education. You're automatically eliminating a good amount of potential audience members when focusing just solely on content. Now, this is not a criticism of your style. I absolutely love your channel. Every video that you put up I find interesting. The problem is that unfortunately most people on YouTube are not like me. Most people on YouTube don't put up videos at all. And the ones that do put videos up usually put them up in 2 to 4 minute segments. We live in what is basically a soundbite culture. We live in a culture that is rampant with ADD. And so, as a result, people's attention spans just can't handle a 15-minute video that's rich with content. Even if your anecdotes are witty, which I think they are, it's not going to cut it for these people. And, the ideological stuff is obviously a concern also. I obviously wear my libertarianism on my shirt sleeve, and I've actually alienated probably almost as many people as you have in the process. Most of them Republicans, believe it or not. I've alienated a fair number of Democrats after Barack Obama was elected. But back in early to late 2007, up to the election, I had a huge number of progressive neo-lib socialist friends because I made a whole bunch of anti-Bush videos. In retrospect, I think that tendency in my video content actually held me back a bit, and it actually confused a lot of my followers, because as soon as Obama was elected and I started turning my attention on him, I had subscribers drop off, and they were in much larger numbers than what you had. I think I probably lost about somewhere between 80 and 120 subscribers over the videos that I put up about Barack Obama. I had people calling me a racist, a white supremacist, and all of that other garbage. And my attitude on that was, go ahead, leave. Sorry that you were here to begin with. Which was probably not the best thing to say. It definitely wasn't polite, but whenever I would have discussions with any of these people, it would consist wholly and completely of, Bush did this and it's bad, or Bush did that and it's even worse. The minute that we talk about ideology in the abstract and we talk about actual either objective or subjective standards of what should be or what ought to be, I lose them basically. They have no idea what I'm talking about. A lot of people tend to be concrete-bound thinkers, and when they encounter something it has more universal applications, it just doesn't really register. They can't process it. Excuse me. If you want a larger audience, the one thing that I will say is that there might be a bit of an area where you could make some good subscriber pickups with people that are actually intellectually stimulating if you do a bit more election content. If you go more into, if you actually came out and you endorsed either Ron Paul or Gary Johnson and you started trying to politically network with people online, you'd probably pick up a couple hundred subscribers. That's actually how I first broke 1,000 subscribers, was actually during the 09 to 2010 election cycle. I was networking with a lot of more Ron Paul-oriented Tea Party people, and I got a lot of attention from people that were involved in the '08 Ron Paul campaign who had not heard of me previously. But my first 400 to 500 subscribers were pretty much Ron Paul junkies just like me. As a matter of fact, the nice lady who became Ron Paul's congressional press secretary, Rachel Mills, was one of my early subscribers, and her and I did a fair amount of networking during the Republican primary last election cycle. In many respects, I'm probably not a good example of what you would probably want to model yourself after if you wanted to get more subscribers, because I triangulate a lot when it comes to audiences. I've got a huge number of subscribers with radically different ideas. I mean, to start off with, I'm in the opposite camp as you when it comes to the theology issue. And as a result, I have a very strong contingent of Christian pro-life subscribers. And these people generally don't have too much of a problem with my views with regards to toleration of things like gay marriage and domestic partnerships and things like that. For them, for the most part, it tends to be enough that I just say, we're not necessarily in the same league of doing things here. There's no reason why we need to force our beliefs on them. We just need to get this marriage licensing and government benefits things figured out so that we're not being forced to subsidize their alternative lifestyle. And that's pretty much the end of it. The number of media caricatures of toothless hayseed idiots who want to have have a nice little party and drag a couple of homosexuals on the ground till they bleed to death on the back of their pickup truck. You don't actually encounter too many of those people when you actually deal with real people that matter in politics on the conservative Christian side of things. Yes, you've got demagogues, particularly in evangelical quarters, although I don't usually tend to get a lot of attention from them because of my particular denomination. But there is an audience for libertarianism with moderate to conservative social issue stances. There's room for that within the Christian side of the YouTube community. I can't really say the same in the opposite respect for the YouTube atheist community. I think that the minarchistic and libertarian or even conservative but secular wing of the atheist community is a minority, and I think generally that the majority of more progressive-oriented atheists have absolutely nothing but contempt for you, with maybe some occasional exceptions. I mean, there's a few people out there that are civil. It's just, I can't think of too many of them. But by the same token, I have a good, strong number of atheist libertarians subscribe to me. Hell, I just found out recently, actually, that Fringe Elements has actually got my channel featured on his channel, which, in some respects I was actually a little bit surprised of, because back when he was Confederal Socialist, him and I didn't really hit it off well at first glance, because the first topic that we dealt with was religion. But I think there is at least a professional level of respect between him and I when it comes to the more important issues that we tend to cover more often. And at some point I am going to try to make a response video to his views regarding how a stateless society would handle defense. And but right now I don't really have enough time to devote to putting together another long video, at least not for another week or so. The only thing I could really say in terms of getting your subscriber count up is probably try to shorten your video length a little bit. Pick one singular topic, preferably something narrow that you can usually get your point across in about 2 to 4 minutes, and see if that does something for you. I'm not saying stop doing the longer videos, because I think there's something that you're actually very good at, but you might want to supplement your longer material with some shorter stuff. And you also might want to look at the keywords that you're putting into your tags. That might help get a little bit of activity. I don't think, just for the record, that you should try engaging the amazing atheist in discussion. I think that you'd be better off being an actual profitable video content provider with under 1,000 subscribers than to be some interchangeable drama seeker with a few thousand subscribers. Basically, you don't want to be what the heck is that guy's name again? Crazy Caleb, I think his name is. You don't want to be that guy. Trust me. A guy that does nothing but puts up idiotic, inane videos with no point whatsoever except for to say, hey, Christians are stupid. I mean, you can get that anywhere. You can get that from Thunderfoot, and there at least you're getting some actual content. So the only other thing I could say is maybe if you want to get in a little bit more tight with the atheist community, you might make a few more videos bashing religion. But again, everybody's doing it. So I don't know. Well, I hope this helps out, and maybe a couple of my subscribers will take note of your channel after seeing this video and take a look at some of your other stuff. Till next time, with prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.